Before I used to think a lot of these people were just out to make money. Now I'm pretty much convinced that all of this is just like a grift for a vast majority of them.
What do you think is a
I
great?
have to
Yeah.
believe, I have to believe that. Like, if you go after women saying, "Oh, you guys don't have logic, this and that," and you bring your studies and all these other things, and then when confronted with evidence, your response is, "It's AI, it's
Yeah.
artificial intelligence." Like, how do I not look at you different? You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So that's probably been. I think that's probably been the biggest change for me. What about you? Has there been any change for you and your perspective of the red pill after this?
I don't think it's a grift. I think they all legitimately believe it, but I think they're emotional, like everybody is. You've got your guy, you really like him, you want to defend him, so people get emotional over it, and then they use their inner feelings instead of like being logical.
Wait, are you saying men can be just as emotional as women?
Yeah, go figure. How crazy is that, huh? Like I said, I always wish I could like lock some of these people in a room and present a whole bunch of evidence for what's going on. But instead of Andrew Tate, it's Hunter Biden that was recorded saying this shit. And then at the very end, I could reveal, like, after getting their feelings on, what do you feel that Hunter Biden said? He likes to make women fall in love and blah blah blah. And they're like, oh, that's the worst thing in the world. How could you ever blah 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 blah? And then like reveal, like, actually it was this conservative guy that said Andrew Tate. Yeah.
Yo, forget your fucking, that whole change my mind series. Forget that. You should go to one of those Andrew Tate rallies,
Yeah.
and then literally record yourself talking to people, and then saying, "This is stuff that Hunter Biden said. Do you think he's guilty?"
Mm-hmm.
And then fucking flip it and just say, "Actually, no, Andrew Tate said that."
Yeah.
I would pay money to watch that.
It's super sad. I've only done that type of setup once in my life. It was when I was debating Fuentes over whether or not like black people or Mexicans could integrate to the United States. And I think I read a quote from some race realist, and it was basically like describing like Hispanic people have their own culture. They've come here together and formed their own enclaves, and because of the way that they live in their environment and work with their own and speak their own languages, they'll never integrate, blah, blah, blah. And I read on the corner, I was like, do you roughly agree with this position? He's like, yeah, 100% I agree with it. Like, this is the truest thing I've ever heard, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, okay, well, this is like a quote from somebody else describing Italians when they came over in the United States, and obviously nobody thinks that they're not, right? So it was kind of funny to pull that, but yeah, I think people are going to be really biased towards. Everybody's like very ideologically poisoned. Like that's it. That's like where most of their opinions come from. Like, is this my guy? Yes, I support it. Is it not my guy? Then no, I don't. And I'm going to backwards rationale whatever the I have to in order to get to that position. And it's just really silly.
This is the bot programming that you've fallen under.
Yep.
I could see the feminist brainwashing that's lead you to believe that a righteous, God-fearing man would engage in this kind of behavior, and you have to believe that because you believe in Satan.
True and based. No.
I wish I could do that. Every time I disagree with someone, just call them a bot in feminist program. I want to start saying that.
I will say I think he laughed a little because he might have realized it was like really ridiculous what he was saying, but it was funny because Sneeko was like, I think when I was on a stream with Pixie and Aaron, Sneeko was like, I can tell just by this that you probably got the vax, you probably did that, blah, 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 because you're a bot. And as soon as he said that, I was like, okay, well, hold on. I can listen to like two things a red pillar says, and I can probably guess that they're like pro-Trump, anti-Ukraine war, anti-vaccination, anti-blah, blah, blah. And I read off like 10 positions, and he was like, and he said, well, that's different because those things are all true. But he laughed a little bit when he said, I was like, you realize how dumb you sound, right? That this is like, you are a bot, like just as much in. But I don't know if he laughed because it was awkward or because he realized it was a little ridiculous what he was saying. But like, yeah, that was funny. I've heard people say that before. We're also like, but don't you believe this? And they're like, yeah, but those are all true. And I was like, yeah, doesn't everybody think that?
Yeah, my favorite, I think, was when you were talking to him and Parley, and they were like, people's personal experiences matter, and like, because enough people believe it, then that's great, and that's the truth.
Mm-hmm.
That's why you got to talk to people. That's the real data. And you're like, well, what if 10,000 people believed that the Earth was flat? Would you believe it? And it was like a giant pause. And they just never came up with an answer to that. And I thought that was so telling.
Yeah.
They'll do this whole thing where it's like, oh, this is the popular belief, therefore it's true. And I thought your counter was like very eloquently put. It was like, just because a lot of people believe it doesn't necessarily make it true.
Yeah.
And then you hit with that. How did you find debating the two of them? Did you enjoy that process? Did you feel like you handedly dismantled a lot of the ideas that they had to the general neutral public?
I think Sneako's more fun because he's a bit more honest and conversationally adept. I don't like the Just Pearly thing tactic of like, oh, I don't know, I'm just asking questions and I don't have any, like, at least Sneako will come full out like, yeah, I believe in the Matrix and that this is happening and this is blah blah blah. It's like, okay, cool. But whereas Just Pearl will do this like really obnoxious, like, I don't know, I'm just asking, I don't have any strong opinions on this at all, and here's a really pointed question and statement I'm gonna make about it. Like, that was so fucking irritating.
wasn't she the one who said, "Yeah, have you ever watched a full Andrew Tate podcast?"
Oh yeah, and then she just let it hang, and it's like, did you want to imply anything? She's like, oh no, I was just asking. I was like, okay. It was so dishonest. I didn't even engage with it after. I was like, you're so whatever, dude.
Bro, are you just not being charitable to her because she's a woman?
True. Uh-oh.
The bottom line is there's a lot of shitty people out there that just like want to watch the world burn, and they'll go along with this witch hunt just for the sake of it. And you know, then this could happen to somebody else. This could happen to, you know, Antonio Brown. This can happen to Tom Brady. It could happen.
It almost did.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you know what I'm
yeah.
saying. So I just think this whole liberally using the word I got sexually assaulted. Again, I'm not taking away from the women who have had this happen to you because it's happened to women.
here?
Absolutely.
But at the same time, there is a lot of social manipulation going on with these women because they're regretting a situation or they didn't like the way a guy made them feel.
Yep.
After
the fact. There you go.
After the fact.
But you don't have any evidence of that. Everything you're saying is an okay hypothesis. It could be true, but you have no evidence of any of this. You're just speculating. Destiny is all about institutional barriers and how culture and biases affect hiring, but acts like journalist work isn't affected by the workplace culture limeo. CEO does not necessarily equal workplace culture. It's possible that the CEO could influence. You guys don't have any concept of like proving a point because none of you have ever, I don't know what you guys do. I don't know if you've never went to school. You've never like watched a TV show. This is what you guys do. Okay. This is what you do. Somebody died in this place and then you read a log that says, oh, John was at that place yesterday. He murdered him 100%. These are the leaps that you're making in your mind. You guys don't need evidence for anything. It's one of my most irritating points. For progressives do it too, but conservatives are just the same. You guys run purely off of emotions. You have no rationality whatsoever in you. You're not interested in figuring out what happened ever. You just want to emotionally connect dots that make you feel good about yourself. That's all you do, right? You can say a CEO of a company could influence the workplace. That's possible, for sure, but that needs to be proven. You're alleging something that needs a single piece of evidence, right? It could be a journalist tweeting, we wanted to run this story, and management said we couldn't. It could be articles before Bezos acquired the Washington Post. They tweeted, or they made a bunch of articles that were critical of Amazon, and afterwards they made none, right? It could be somebody being interviewed by a Washington Post journalist says, hey, they asked me a bunch of stuff. There's a million pieces of evidence that could prove any of this, but you have nothing. All you have is, oh, he's a CEO, must be rigged. You don't have any evidence for that. Get out of your feelings and use your brain and try to figure out one piece of evidence to prove any of your stories. One of the worst things, one of the reasons why I just want to play Factorio, and I don't like doing any, so boss don't control their employee Destiny site permaban, see you later. The CEO is not the boss that walks around the floor, you dipshit. You ever work a job at Burger King? When was the last time you saw the CEO? Nah, you bugging if you don't think the CEO doesn't influence the company. All right, see you later. I'll unban any of you guys if you bring me back a single piece of evidence, okay? Like, learn how to, this is why I think prop logic, I think a philosophy 101 class should be mandatory teaching in high school. And I think everybody should be forced to learn prop logic. Just like a really basic, like, if A, then B, then C. Like, just like that. Like, learn the little, like, the itty-bitty, a couple of logical statements and how they connect. I think everybody should be required to do that because the amount of conjecture and jumps that you guys make is so stupid. And then it's boring for me because I'm like, I don't even get to have real debates. I've told you this a million times. When I got into politics 6 or 7 years ago, I thought I was gonna have cool debates. I don't ever have cool conversations. That one with the music theory lady yesterday was probably the best conversation I had in like 2 years because all of you conservative are brain. Like, how the am I supposed to argue with you and your feelings about Matrix or the Red Pill or the World Economic Forum or Klaus Schwab or scenes in the water supply? Like, you have no proof for anything. None of it is fun for me. It's all fan fiction, right? You guys are actively writing fan fiction about the government with no proof, no evidence, except occasionally you'll produce the shitty study, the horrible preprint that gets debunked like 2 days later, and then you pretend like it never existed. Like, it's so fucking boring to me. If you have evidence for something, let's talk about the evidence. That's the entertaining part. That's the part that's interesting. It's like intellectually stimulating. Not like, oh, some girls lie about, so this one must die because Vice didn't show all the text messages. All human beings, by virtue of being human beings, have been granted a priori, before you've ever thought a single thought, okay? You have the capability for logical deduction. You can understand it. Every human being has that programmed into their brain. Use it, okay?
I appreciate that, Destiny.
All right, bye. Remember to hit that like and subscribe, and don't forget the notification bell so that my videos show up right in your feed.